People all over the state are preparing for the rain here in the desert. We are on storm watch.
Plus, Russian-speaking gunmen have stormed 2 airports in Ukraine. We have the very latest.
And 2 juveniles are facing armed robber charges for robbing a home in the La Quinta Cove.
KMIR Today at 6:30 starts now.
Good morning. It is February 28th, Foodie Friday. You're watching KMIR Today. I'm Thalia Hayden.
And I'm Gloria Rodriguez. What do you have there, Thalia?
I have some IHOP pancakes straight off the griddle.
Oh,
and
yum.
I couldn't wait. I'm sorry. I was like, give them to me, please.
They look delicious, and you might stay tuned because we'll tell you about these wonderful pancakes, how you can get some for free. But first, let's take that live look outside this morning. It is a little windy out there right now. This is your live look on your general air conditioning camera here in Palm Desert.
Yes, we do have that wind advisory in effect, and here are your temperature highs of the day. And as you see, they have dropped significantly since yesterday. Desert Hot Springs 69, over on the other side of the valley, Mecca and Indio 74 degrees.
Now let's go to your top news stories right now. 2 juveniles are sitting in jail this morning after an armed robbery in the La Quinta Cove. It was reported around 6:30 last night at a home on Eisenhower Drive in Calle Sinaloa. Police swarmed the neighborhood with a helicopter and several patrol cars in search of those suspects. Authorities say that the 2 victims described 2 suspects to police who located 2 young men just 30 minutes later. They were sitting in a car a few streets away. The 2 suspects are only identified as a 15-year-old boy of Indio and a 17-year-old boy from La Quinta.
This morning, a man is facing charges for card skimming thefts for the 2nd time. Riverside County Sheriff's deputies put 30-year-old Vahe Ruben Yerkanyan behind bars yesterday for allegedly using electronic skimming devices at banks. Yerkanyan is suspected of putting a hidden camera at the Chase Bank's ATM in La Quinta. This happened back in mid-September of 2013 when several Chase Bank customers' information was stolen. Yerkanyan also fraudulently withdrew over $9,000 from banks in Los Angeles back in May.
Cathedral City Police were able to stop a man from attempting to jump off the roof of an apartment complex. Officers responded to a call about a suspicious person near Ramon Road and Avenida El Pueblo yesterday morning. Upon arrival, they spotted a man running eastbound from the location. They chased the man to an apartment complex where he made his way up 3 stories to the roof. And finally, authorities were able to convince the man to step away from the ledge. Police helped him down. He was later taken to Desert Hospital for a mental evaluation.
As we mentioned, the desert is under a storm watch. The winds came in strong from the west and southwest last night. Some parts of the valley got winds up to 35 miles per hour. A high wind advisory is in effect until Saturday, and this morning the valley is also under a flash flood warning. The rain has many residents getting prepared. Fire stations in Palm Springs are handing out bags to fill with sand for residents who want them. However, you do have to fill them yourself. Some residents near the Arabi Wash say they are actually looking forward to the rain.
Hopefully without any big, huge problems. They do say there's supposed to be some flooding, but we're hopeful that we'll get the rain we need. Residents also say they hope they won't be seeing severe flood damage.
So will that rain come today? Let's get a check of your weather.
Meteorologist Greg Bennett joins us with a look at your lifestyle weather forecast.
All right, here we go. Low pressure system number 2 rolling on into the Coachella Valley, giving us a lot of watches and warnings throughout Southern California. For us, it's mainly this high wind warning. We need to be careful, especially on those major highways, at least until Saturday, 10 p.m. Oh yes, it's going to linger for a little bit. Winter storm warnings just around the mountains, around Banning and Beaumont, and of course flash flood watches and warnings more towards the west of us. We'll give you more details on this low pressure system. It's coming up in your lifestyle weather forecast.
Thank you, Greg. The long-stalled Ritz-Carlton project in Rancho Mirage hit yet another roadblock. The project is more than 6 years behind schedule. Developers say they're under a strict deadline to open by March 1st, but they're already not ready yet. Now, the group is requesting at least 10 more weeks to finish that project. The second extension is set to expire on May 15th. Although city officials are anxious to see the property up and running, the developer is required to pay the city $25,000 every month until that hotel is opened. The current developer and its predecessor have already paid the city $655,000. The Ritz has been closed since 2006. Today, we could see the Ukrainian president for the first time since he fled the country. He's expected to hold a news conference in Russia. Tracy Potts has an update.
What will Viktor Yanukovych say today to a nation divided? There's a transitional government setting up in the capital of Kiev, but in Crimea, protesters want to break off and join Russia. 150,000 Russian troops, hundreds of tanks, aircraft, and ships have lined up at the border. Russia says it's a pre-scheduled training exercise. Some Ukrainians think it's a military invasion. The U.S. is watching.
I expect Russia to be transparent about these activities, and I urge them not to take any steps that could be misinterpreted or lead to miscalculation.
So we will watch very carefully and very hopefully that Russia will join us in the effort to help shore up the economy, hold the country together, and provide a road forward.
Armed men have taken over Crimea's airport. A Russian flag's been raised over the region's parliament building. With Yanukovych in hiding and a new government forming, the U.S. no longer considers him a legitimate ruler.
It's hard to claim you're leading a country when you abdicate your responsibilities and disappear.
The U.S. is backing the new government, but it's not clear who's in charge. Tracy Potts, KMIR News.
Russian-speaking gunmen have stormed two airports where tensions have been high this week. The gunmen are wearing unmarked military uniforms and masks. Ukraine officials think the invaders are Russian naval forces. There are reports of Ukraine's acting interior minister accusing Russian militants of attempting an armed invasion, but they denied involvement.
Time right now, 37 minutes after the hour.
Here's what's making news headlines around the nation this morning.
A second round of heavy rain is expected to hit parts of our state later today. Mandatory evacuations are in effect and flood barriers are in place to protect land and homes in Glendora. Residents took to the streets, placing sandbags in areas prone to flooding. The city sits in the foothills east of Los Angeles with thousands of acres of steep mountain slopes left bare by a January fire. 60 miles to the west in Malibu, authorities closed a 9-mile section of the Pacific Coast Highway. Officials fear that today's second storm will cause rock and mudslides, making that road unsafe.
The coming rain may also be a good thing since our state's drought emergency. We spoke with local state assemblyman Brian Nestandi yesterday about the status of California's drought.
We passed legislation today to help implement the governor's emergency drought initiative, which is a partial plan. We still have a lot of work to do as far as, once again, going back to how are we going to prepare for the next drought, not just this drought. But there is some money being appropriated to help, particularly food assistance for people that are really hurting, housing assistance and so forth, and do some groundwater protection, and once again really push the issue of conservation.
For the first time in 20 years, big changes are possibly ahead for the food labels that millions of Americans have come to count on. Michelle Obama and the FDA are now proposing new labels like this one. It bases calories on servings people actually eat, identifies added sugars, measures nutrients like potassium and vitamin D, and also revises daily values for sodium and fiber. The FDA is taking public comments on the proposal for the next 90 days.
Interest in New Jersey Governor Chris Christie's so-called scandal continues today. The borough of Fort Lee is releasing 911 calls related to last September's lane closures on the George Washington Bridge. Christie says he was unaware of the lane closures as they happened. It is the latest addition to downtown Indio. The College of the Desert Indio campus is holding its official grand opening ceremony today. The new structure is equipped with 14 classrooms and a laboratory. Most of the basic services offered to the Palm Desert campus will also be available in Indio. The Indio Chamber of Commerce and city leaders will be celebrating the opening of the new campus located on Oasis Street at 1 p.m.
The BNP Paribas Open is making its way to the Valley on Monday. The tournament is going on March 3rd through the 16th. The international event brings together tennis pros from around the globe competing in a 96 singles draw and 32 doubles draw. And new this year, the event now has an app for iPhones and Androids.
This is what it looks like, the Wi-Fi being offered throughout the event. is the perfect addition. You can stream up to 4 courts at once live. There's a map of where you can shop or find food. It also features exclusive photos and videos of on-court action, and even better, you don't have to worry about charging your battery because there will be 2 mobile charging stations at the Indian Wells Tennis Garden.
I think that's really neat because you can be on one court and then you know what's going on all the other courts, so you can follow your favorite players wherever they are.
For those intense people, that's a good way to quench that, addiction.
Speaking of quenching, how about quenching your hunger for some pancakes? Look at this. We have IHOP live in studio.
Best Friday ever. We'll tell you about IHOP and what they're offering and when you can get free pancakes. So stick with us. You're watching KMIR Today.